Ma'am, I just need you to know that I get a little bit tense on these flights, and every once in a while I will
No.
scream really loudly when we take off. I hope that's not a problem. Literally said that to the flight attendant.
Oh, gosh.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. Late March, April around the corner. Baseball season started. March Madness in full swing. We are absolutely dominating right now. Ready for a very, very good weekend. And let's get this show going. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. If you're a sports gambler, this is the best hour of your day if you're trying to make money. So we're going to get you signed up, get you ready to make some money, and hopefully get you some insight on what's going to be going on this Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend baseball season. Masters around the corner, so much more. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. We'll get this show underway and see if we can't get some information that people will care about. Mr. Brandon Rush, how are you, buddy?
I'm splendid. Yeah, you're right. The Masters 2 weeks away with baseball going, soccer going, and basketball, at least college basketball, coming to an end. Very profitable time of year. And last week was a great glimpse into everything that the service can be, because basketball was really, really good last week. And it's fun to watch games when, especially in this weekend or these series of weekends, when profits rolling in.
Yeah, it was one of those times we had talked about late February, basically after the Super Bowl for a couple weeks, where basketball was kind of just banging around, losing a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, and getting actually a lot of bad luck. Over the first part of March, we started making money in baskets, in the hoops. Conference championship week, we made money, and then we get to the March Madness this last week, just absolute domination. So if you went to Las Vegas, and it's an important time of the year to do that because you do have guys that sign up once or twice a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to hear from them. And they think that, well, this is the week. He better do well this week. Well, I want to do
Right.
well every week,
Every week.
but yeah, it ended up being a great week. We won Monday. We won two. You can look at the results tab: 22-7 run over an 8-day period in basketball, including 3-0 on Saturday. Easy 3-0 on Saturday. BYU over, and I forget it was another total easy winner. One Thursday, one Friday. Sunday we had 1-2, and I didn't love the card Sunday, but again, it's one of those weekends where, especially after we had run off a 21-5 run over a week period. So I'm gonna get some plays out there. Got a little bit unlucky in one of the games in the New Mexico game, but then we got a little bit
Mm-hmm.
lucky in one of the totals that stayed under with Alabama. So luck evened out, didn't really matter that much. And as I said, over the last 8 days before that, just building profit each and every day. If you signed up that Monday before, you made money. I always tell people this as well: unless you're going to Vegas or unless you're just going to bet that weekend, the money we make on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays spends exactly the same as the money that we're going to make this weekend coming up in the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. So, and most of the time, the price structure, and this week is included in that, the price structure doesn't go down a lot. So if you sign up on Monday, you're going to pay $229 for all the football through, or excuse me, all the basketball through Sunday. So through the Elite 8 games until we get the Final Four, you're going to pay $229. If you wait until Thursday, so you miss Monday, you miss Tuesday, you miss Wednesday, you're missing all that profit. Last week we made, I think, 4 or 5 games during that time, the prior week. It's going to be like $199. I mean, so you're
Mm.
going to save 30. It's $30 is all you're going to save by waiting until Thursday, but you're going to miss out on 4, 5, 6 games of profit most likely. That even at $50 a game, it's $300. So go ahead and get signed up early, and more importantly, get signed up longer. You can go through March Madness right now, and if you go through the championship game, which of course is a week from Monday, it's only $299, I think. So you're basically, it's going to be $199 to get a weekend, or for $100 you're going to get the full week through the finals, which is basically another 8 days for $100. So make smart decisions. Through the NBA finals makes even more sense. It's under $600 to do that. NBA finals are in June, so all of April, all of May, into June. You're paying about $60 a week for basketball and free baseball when you sign up right now. And so you're getting those bases for free, and you're paying about $60 a week. Guys that sign up, they love the $99 special that I'll run in football season. That's so much more than a lot of guys are paying. I mean, you need to get the price per pick down. And I'm talking, Brandon, I had some friends in that I do, Mariah Janos, who I
Yeah.
do the TV show, Beat the Odds with in Las Vegas. She came over with her brother, and her brother works for DraftKings, I think, one of those. And he's 28, she's 30, that type of deal. They're younger people. We had them over. They stayed in the back house. They love Newport, so whatever. Um, and so we got to talking about the younger generation, younger gamblers, and kind of the difference between what my clients are. My clients are not everybody, but my clients, generally speaking, are between 40 years old, 35 to 35, probably 35 to, I don't know, up and up. They are smart. They have a job. They want to make money betting on sports. They are doing
Understand that this is a long-term investment type deal and not just a, hey, let's just bang around, see what we can do this weekend.
it's a totally different mindset. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not having fun with it. They're having a great time
Sure.
or playing their own stuff. A lot of them are doing all that kind of stuff. By the way, I'll
Hmm.
circle back to soccer. Those of you who wonder, soccer, UFC, I'll talk about that in a minute. But I got off on this. Here's where the brain went. So my clients, generally speaking, are smart dudes. They're intelligent. They like having fun, but they also want to make money. They like the idea they get the same picks no matter what, whether they're betting $50 a game or 50,000 a game. They like that they're posted and documented. So we have, we go 1-2 last Sunday after a 21-5 run. Those three games are posted by midnight on Sunday on the website fatjacksports.com under the results tab. You, the transparency is unparalleled in this world. They love that. They like making money consistently. Turn it to the younger guys, the guys that right now are just funneling into the sports gambling market. The things I just said are not in their top 10.
Zero of that applies. Yeah, as soon as and there's new sports bettors literally every day because if 18 or 21, depending on what state you live in, you are going to dip your toe into this, and none of the grand scheme of things, the transparency, none of that matters to them.
Well, and just like Facebook, if everything else, you got 16-year-olds there getting the dad's credit card, opening up account. I mean, it's the Wild West in sports
Mm-hmm.
gambling. And those guys that are coming in, again, generally speaking, I have older guys that are also idiots and don't, they go
Eh,
0-1 and they're mad. They're emailing everybody, putting online, this guy sucks. So, I mean, you're going to get older guys that are stupid too. But the younger people, generally speaking, they're not interested in winning.
mm-mm.
They're not. Now, they'll tell you they want to win. Everybody wants to win. It's like, I want to run a marathon, but I don't want to train to run a marathon. I don't want to do anything to help myself finish a marathon.
I
So,
want to get a girlfriend, but I'm not going to do anything to improve myself as a human.
yeah, I don't want to do anything to help with that process. So the younger gamblers in general, they're not interested in winning. They're interested in having fun. And we know that for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, all of them are losing. And number two, they're not they will look at the service fee for at fatjacksports.com and they'll say $2,000 for wow, that's so much. It's
And for someone who's 21 years old and 22, just fresh out of college, that is a lot of money.
It is absolutely a lot of money. But when you're able to pay it out over the year, you have
Mm-hmm.
three buddies that are your friends, and this is what a lot of guys that I'm friends with do. You
Yep.
got three buddies that are also gambling, and they also decide they want to win. Now it's $500 a piece between. I would say 2K isn't the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
2K is now to next year's Super Bowl. So the number itself sounds like a lot of money, but when you space it out, you're saying, all right, I get all the way through the middle of next February. I get the baseball season for free. I get March Madness. I get the baseball season for free. I get all the football, all the bowl games, all the NFL plus, everything. And I have a buddy or two because I'm just graduating college or now it's 500 a piece. We need to figure this out. We can definitely figure this out when there's three or four of us, and then we'll split the package. You
You
also
have three. You have three roommates. You throw in $500 a piece for the football service through the Super Bowl. That is like $1.48 a day.
at $100 a game, you made that back last week.
Yeah.
At $50 a week a game, you actually made it back last week. Almost made it back. What we make? 22-7. 15 games, so take away the juice or so, a couple of games, so 15, 13 games.
13 units. Yeah.
You made your 500 last week. If you just did this formula with 3 of your buddies last Monday, you are now paid up for the year all the way through the middle of February.
February.
So is it too much or isn't it? The difference is the mentality of the younger gambler, Brandon, is they're not interested in winning. What they're interested in is playing.
They want action on the game. Results be
Parlay.
damned.
That's why, and they won't say though in those words, but that's what's going on. I was talking, like I said, I was talking to Mariah and her brother about it, and they, it's not that they don't care about winning. It's just not important. If they're going to have to actually invest something or care a little bit more, so they would rather go and find somebody that has the $29 pick of the day, and then
Mm-hmm.
4 of them will divide that up. They'll Venmo each other $6.20 or whatever. Get the pick of the day, see how it goes, and when they lose, go, oh crap, I guess I'll go to class this morning.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing. It's not important. They're not going to spend a lot of money, and or they're going to just do it themselves. And more dangerously, they're going to play parlays. That's why all the sports book hammer the parlays, hammer in-game parlays. That's why every time you turn on TV, Jamie Foxx, in-game parlays. He sings to you. He tells you about the parlay. That's because that's the sports books want you to do, and that's what they're training all these younger gamblers to do with their money.
And a lot of younger gamblers think that's what sports betting is that it is the home run, lottery type of winnings that you get from parlays. They don't understand, grinding out wins day after day after day all season long.
And it's not a grind when you're winning. You're just adding money to your bankroll.
Yeah.
But is it going to hit you the 10-1, 20-1, 50-1? No. If you want to do that, you can. But I would encourage you to do that after you run off a 15-5 week, a 17, when you're up your 500, when you're into profit. Then if you wanted to go and take a $10, 20 team or whatever it is you like to do, I'm not telling you, I'm not your mom. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. All I'm doing is trying to get you on a path that will not have you losing all your money between now and whenever it is that you stop gambling. And by the way, I should also say, I was once in my 20s. You were once in your 20s.
I was once an idiot. Yeah.
And so it's not like we're shaming the entire generation. It's just
Mm-mm.
you do things when you're in your 20s, and these sports books are taking advantage of that, as they should. They're trying to get you to line up and do the things that's going to make them the most money.
Yeah.
And lose you the most money, similar to what bookies would do back in the day, or what parlay cards would do when I was in my 20s. You would have some dude, Guido the Killer Pimp, and walk around with a stack full of parlay cards, pass them out at all the bars, pass them out at all the clubs, pass them out everywhere, and then he would circle back, and you would paper clip the money to the parlay card. You rip off the end, and you get the end. You know what you have, and then he would circle back after the games to the 4 or 5 people out of the thousands that he
That
had
actually won.
and he would pay them their money and go, hey, look at so and so what, da 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 da. Now it's the same thing. They're just doing it legally on every time you turn on a game. So
And they're on your phone, not just meandering around wherever you happen to be.
exactly, it's easy, so easy. But the probability of winning is actually worse now than it was even with the parlay cards, with the things they're doing now. So just some food for thought. If you're out there and you're younger, we didn't get to an answer, to a remedy with Mariah and her
Just
brother.
identified the problem.
Yeah, and because I'm becoming, as we're heading into the off season, and by the way, fatjacksports.com, go get signed up. Elite 8, Sweet 16. We had a great week last week. We're going to talk about soccer and baseball here, soccer and UFC in a second. But get signed up now. You get the lowest rate of the entire year. You get the baseball season for free as long as you sign up. Now baseball has started. You're going to get baseball plays today. And so get on board today for those longer packages. You can pay out the service fee up to 6 months. So it doesn't ever, even if you're just by yourself, it costs $400 or so now, and then you pay $350 a month or so, and you're done by the time we get to football season. It's a responsible way to get all the plays, to save money, and if you don't want to go in with a buddy or something, but otherwise find a friend, find a couple friends, get signed up, make money. Didn't find a solution. Yeah, we just identified the problem, and I don't know how to single-handedly on a podcast that some people listen to, the world does not. It's not like I'm on ESPN. Kind of explain to guys, this is why you're losing your money. This is what you can do differently to not lose money. And it's not just sign up for me. There's just
Sure.
fundamental things that guys can
That's
do.
that's a that yeah, that's a foundational start, cornerstone start, but yeah, it's not the end all.
It's going to put you on the path to the grocery store. Now,
Mhm.
it's not going to make sure you buy bread and buy eggs and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to put you on the path to, if you do a few other things, that you're going to be nourished. You're going to make money. You're going to turn yourself into somebody that can do this and make money. But and as a lot of my clients around the world, I have clients all over the world that sign up every single year. Some of them have for 30 years. I mean, a long time, um, making money betting on sports. But I'll get you on the right path. But there is a bigger problem, a systematic problem that is caused by young 20 somethings that we all were, and sports books in the way that they're approaching going about this, which again, they should. They're in the business of making money. So,
I think it was
fatjacksports.com. Do it.
Doyle Brunson, the great poker player from back in the day, said it was a crime to let an idiot keep his money. At the poker table, that's absolutely true, and that's exactly the ethos that a lot of sports books operate as. Like, hey, we can give you this, but you're going to give us your money.
They're, why would they do any different? This is not a
Mm-hmm.
charitable organization.
Mm-mm.
And there
They are in
aren't enough
business to make money.
and there's not enough people out there like us that are yelling from the rooftops, wait a minute, guys, wait. We have some experience in this, and we're not working for them. Anytime that you're playing a parlay that a sports book puts up for you,
A
who would do that?
prepackaged deal, yeah, yeah. Oh, Luca's going to go for 26 points tonight. Don't you love this bet? People in your state are betting this.
Why
That's
why would a
predatory as
made
hell.
for profit business give you a bet that was good for you? I came into this and started this business. Well, let's talk about sports because we got so many things about to talk about
Mm-hmm.
Sweet 16
Mm-hmm.
Elite Eight. But I came into this business. The first thing I said is there's two sides of this. There's the Lakers and the Bulls. There's Boston and New York. There's two sides. It's the sports books and
Versus
it's
you.
the gamblers.
Yep.
Now the good news is that some gamblers are going to win. They're going to actually win. So it's not like you have to always lose. It's not have to be a David and Goliath situation. There are sports bettors that are going to win. I'm that guy. We're those people. We're winning betting on sports. Have for 25 or 30 years. But if you're lining up and you're doing things that your opponent, which is the sports book, wants you to do, and yeah, part of it is they want volume and that kind of stuff. But the other part is
Mm-hmm.
if they're offering 14 in-game parlays, those are mathematically going to line up to where they win.
Yep.
Always. Never are
A
they going
nice,
to.
huge house advantage.
Exactly. So stop doing that. Go to fatjacksports.com. Soccer. Incredible year in soccer since last June. We've had now 5 losing. I don't even want to count last weekend, by the way.
Yeah, that one was
Is
that one was rough.
MLS, by the way, MLS, this is not their world. These guys live in London.
It's not even it's barely the top tier of soccer in this country.
Exactly. And the game's kind of played out that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, like I say, don't watch a ton of soccer, but I've started watching more, obviously, and it was just amazing to me the difference between. And what I've been told by them is that once the English Premier League kind of winds down, they do move on to more international soccer and more of that kind of stuff. This week in particular, as rich people will do who play soccer full time, when your main form of income takes a 10-day break, you take a 10-day break. You take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you don't put as much time into the soccer for a day or two or for a few days. You take a deep breath. It's like us after basketball season.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
exactly.
I'll take a deep breath. I'll reset. Their resets are smaller for 5 to 10 days. I almost put out a thing. We went. By the way, soccer went 0-3. So we had gone 6-1 the week before. We had not had a losing week in I don't know how long. We've only had 4 since last June. So nobody's crying for the soccer. The problem with it is that excuse me, we had 3, 2 of them we were winning into the 87th minute. I don't know if you watched, Brad, but 2 of those games we were actually winning into the 87th minute. They both ended up being ties, which they're three-way action. They gave up goals. One of them scored a goal and gave up a goal within like 2 minutes. It's like watching Little League. I felt like I was out there watching my daughter out there playing 10U soccer in Norman, Oklahoma. Um, so anyway, lost in soccer, no big deal. The good news about if you're going to lose in soccer, you're going to have 5 losing weeks in the course of a year. You want to have it on a week where you're going 22-7 in basketball, because
Right.
I have very few people that just would sign up for soccer. Who would do that? I mean, that's ridiculous. Sign up for football and basketball or whatever, and then add soccer. It costs next to nothing to do, very little, $40 a week. You're building profit each and every week. But that was no fun. UFC won again. Small winning week with the UFC. They've now run off a month in a row. So good for Jordan. A full month in a row of winning, consistent profit, which is what he did for basically 5 years before this last little dip that he had that was,
Hmm.
a extended significant dip in the UFC. But back and running, won a month straight. Everybody's turned a profit that. So great time to go to fatjacksports.com and get signed up. All right, what happened in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 quickly, and then we're going to turn the page and move on. What happened last week that surprised you, didn't surprise you in the first couple rounds of the tournament?
Surprised to see teams like Florida, Houston, the, Auburn kind of struggle in those second round games. The first round games, obviously, you're playing a 15, 16 seed. You're going to do those things. But when they get those 8-9 matchups, some of those games were a little bit more tighter than they probably could and should have been. But it is wild that for the first time since 2017, no 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed failed to make it out of the first weekends. That was incredible to see. Or at least not make it to the round of 64. And that was kind of interesting to see. We knew it was going to be a bit chalky, but I didn't think we were ready to see how chalky it really was. There's only like two major upsets.
I talked about this around the country that this is a very favorite driven tournament in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you put your brackets together, you really don't want to be looking that deep to run teams super deep. There will be one or two a lot of years, but they're very difficult to come by. They normally lose in the second round. You'll have the great stories in the first round. If you get somebody to the next one, we have McNeese State that won the first round. They're, Waterboy gets a NIL deal, and then they promptly turn around and lose by 1,000. So great story for 5 minutes, but most of the time the favorites move on. This was the chalkiest term. People who hear chalky, chalk means favorites. All right, favorites are teams that are supposed to win. This was the most chalky tournament that we've had in almost 20 years. Since 2007, there will not be one team. This is the first time there will not be one team that is lower than 11th seed in the Sweet 16. So you have 11th seed or better. It's been almost 20 years since that has happened. Most of the time, you're going to get that one shining story of the team that could do something next weekend or this
And
weekend.
then the one double digit seed that is in the Sweet 16, Arkansas, I mean, really isn't a true double digit seed. I mean, they're an SEC team. John Calipari's obviously been to this platform before, and yeah, it's not a mid major conference. I don't think there is a single team in the Sweet 16 from a mid major either. So it's all power conferences.
Makes sense. I mean, and that was to be expected this year. You had the SEC that in the first round set a record with having more teams being knocked out in the first round out of one conference ever.
Mm-hmm.
But now, on the flip side of that, they have more teams in the Sweet 16 than a conference ever. So just the way, whether you like it or not, this year did look like the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, Big 12, those teams. And this is kind of what we've talked about in football, Brandon. When you talk about NIL and you talk about money, it's going to be much tougher for Drake or even Creighton, who was game.
Mm-hmm.
But these mid-major conferences, it's going to be a lot tougher for them to compete because it's not just now, do I get somebody to believe in what I'm doing, and come to my. It's can I pay you a comparable amount? And the answer a lot of times is no.
Yeah,
Uh,
culture is going to matter less and less.
it's going to be such an anomaly. I think going forward, we're going to see more of this. And it's not like we know who's going to win. This
No,
tournament's very open,
wide
very
open. Yeah.
competitive. Matter of fact, I mean, I'm sure Duke is right now the favorite. Duke's looks incredibly strong right now, but after that, and they can certainly lose. Uh, but after that, it gets pretty wide open at the top, so anybody can still win. But those lower teams that are going to jump up and do some damage and shock the world, it's going to be tougher because anybody who needs money, which is basically everybody, is going to pick. If you say I can start for this team A or I can start for team B, and team A is going to pay me 5,000 a month. I mean, not a lot in this day and age. 3,000 a month, whatever. Team B is going to give me $200 a month. Most of the time, those players are almost always. I can't think of a scenario that most players, and the more you need money, the more you're going to be driven by money.
Yep.
And so it just makes sense that we're going to get this kind of top heavy deal. And shouldn't be surprising we're seeing that in basketball first more than football. Football takes a lot more correct answers as far as who to give the money to, how to get them
It's
in.
only 5 guys on the court at a time, so one person can make a larger impact. Yeah.
Which you would say would help the smaller schools, but it doesn't, because they know who's good and who's not. And if you're good, you're going to offer that kid money, and so you're going to get the better player. So it's going to take a great shooting performance out of one. But bottom line, not that surprising that we're having the most favorite-driven tournament we've had in almost 20 years.
Back out to Allen. History final.
Before the ball is tipped or shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history's made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week. Get free winners and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube. Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host. We think he is elite. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Wrapping up March. This is our last show of the year, Brandon, or the season.
Of the season, yeah. We'll be back in August, but that does not mean that we're just disappearing off the face of the earth. Social media exists. There is a concerted effort being made this offseason to drive more content towards the socials. So follow us at Fat Jack Sports on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, wherever. And there's gonna be more stuff coming in the coming weeks. And just because the radio show and the podcast is taking a small break until August does not mean the entertainment and information is going away.
Yeah, we're going to have not only free winners going out over the course of the spring and the summer, especially with soccer and how it's going.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that. We'll talk about how to make money in that. We'll talk about the UFC as it goes all year long. We'll talk about baseball that's free, and then we'll get you ready with the draft and everything. There is not an off season. And so with this, there is not an off season. There's so many ways to make money now. It's not what it was 25 years ago, where you basically go through football and then you kind of limp through basketball. There's as much money to be made in the spring and the summer. If my clients that sign up today at fatjacksports.com and play $100 a game have not already paid off the service fee and into profit by the time we get to football season, then something has gone horribly wrong. And it doesn't happen.
It's the way it is, man.
Every year, if you sign up now, and $50 or $100 a game, $50 a game. Like I said, we made $500 for you last week if you played $50 a game. $50 a game, you're going to have your service fee paid off by the time we get to football, and then you're going to be free rolling if you sign up now. If you don't, you're going to pay more in the fall. Now you got to pay it off first, the whole thing. So get signed up now. But yeah, there is not an off season for sure, and that will be the way to connect. Is go follow us on social media. We putting up a bunch of stuff, and frankly, coupons to add some other sports, different things like that. So giving you
plus if we start sending out golf picks, I mean it's going to be there.
Exactly. And I will. I mean, there's going to be some golf stuff over the summer we're going to be sending out. So lots and lots of reasons to go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up now, and then add that stuff on the social media so that you're staying connected as we go forward. So let's talk about the teams going forward this weekend. Who's your favorite to win it all? What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, I picked Florida before when the bracket came out. I have 7 futures tickets that are still alive, so I'm good right now. Some hedge opportunities coming for me, but whoever wins this Kentucky-Tennessee matchup on in the Sweet 16 is, I think, going to give Houston pretty much anything they want. But I mean, it's as chalky as the first 2 rounds were. not going to be shocked if we get to San Antonio next weekend and it's nothing but 1s and 2 seeds.
Yeah, Duke is the favorite right now. They are a +2. They're 2-1 basically.
Yep.
Florida 4-1. Then you go to Houston, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee. I have Florida to win it all as well in my bracket. I don't feel great about that, honestly.
Not considering the way they looked in that game against UConn. I mean, and UConn, at least through the first 2 games of the tournament, has looked a lot better than I thought they were capable of.
I'm with you. I didn't love the way they looked. I think that there's so many dangerous teams. It's why it's Duke and honestly it's Duke and everybody else, and that's not just because of the last 2 games and how they played. It's just top to bottom. Duke is better. Their freshman's not a freshman anymore. He never was. I mean, apparently this kid when he was 12 was not a freshman. So, and they're able to score so many ways. Defensively, they're long. They create a lot of problems. So, yeah, I absolutely hate throwing out favorites. But I mean, yeah, if you made me switch right now, I mean, it's Duke and then everybody else. Houston's the one team, and I've talked about this a lot. They're 5.5-1. That living in Oklahoma, that if Houston wins and I don't have a significant ticket on them, I'm going to feel really stupid. Kelvin Sampson, everybody knows in Oklahoma at least what he is. I mean, this guy is a very good basketball coach that knows how to do things, and he just needed more offense. Talk about culture, and they have some money now through the NIL. They're getting players away from teams. Make no mistake about it. If you saw a player, I used to say 3 or 4 years ago when NIL was just starting, I would say, gosh, I didn't know Oklahoma was a stepping stone for other universities, or this team was a stepping stone. Make no mistake about it. This has nothing to do with programs. Now that we're into this world, it everything to do with money. So when you're watching players for Kentucky or you're watching players for Houston that used to be with the Oklahoma Sooners, every one of them are making more money with Houston and Kentucky than they were with OU. Yep. Same way if you're talking about Kansas Jayhawks. If they left Kansas to go somewhere else, it was not for playing time. It's not because they didn't like Bill Self. It's because somebody offered them a lot more money to go play somewhere else. That mindset has to change not only from a university standpoint, but from a fan standpoint. You need to understand that it's not necessarily what your coach is doing right or doing wrong. It's, do we have enough money, and are we able to pick the right people to give the right money to? You know, football's a little different. You're giving $1 million to one kid, then you're sitting him on the bench, and this and the other thing. That's a different problem, a different symptom. But what's going on right now is Kelvin Sampson has had a program and a culture that has been really consistent in what they do. Great defense, great hustle, very physical. Not a lot of offense. They went out, pulled money together from all those Oilies down there in Houston and said, you know what, let's go get us a big man that can, face the basket some. Let's go get us a point guard that can shoot and distribute. And they've done that. So if they win, sometimes it's about where you grow up and what you know. But Kelvin Sampson, it should surprise nobody if he runs the table and ends up beating everybody, shutting down Duke, and beating the rest of this group. The one team I would still throw out, Auburn, they're 5.5-1. There's not been a team that has lost 3 of their last 4 games during the season and then gone on to win the tournament. This would be the first time ever that's happened. Auburn lost 3 of their last 4 through the SEC tournament. That team does not. It catches up with them. Even if they get hot again, they'll run into somebody and they'll lose. So I don't love them. I have Florida playing Tennessee. I've been to a detriment, honestly. We made a bunch of money betting on Tennessee this year.
Yes.
We made some money betting against them, and a lot of money betting on the under with Tennessee because I know exactly what Tennessee is. They're one of those teams that I just have bet on a lot, bet against a lot, and
very familiar with it, with what they do on a game-to-game basis. Yep.
And I do think they're uphill. They're still 16-1. That's correct. They are not a favorite over the teams above them: Alabama, Auburn, Houston, Florida, and Duke. But they are a team that can get hot at the right time. They can create enough turnovers, shoot the ball well from the outside to beat anybody in the country. So, and I didn't want to just go with one seed, frankly. I mean, you got to go a little deeper. And this was a very favorite-driven bracket. How's your bracket doing, Brandon?
Abysmal. But like I said, I've got I think I have 10. I have 10 of the Sweet 16. But there were some upsets that I thought were going to come through that absolutely didn't. Grand Canyon was one of them, but Colorado State was one that did well for me. So it's not looking great. But yeah, like I said, I have 7 futures tickets still alive on the second weekend of the tournament, so I'm excited about that.
Colorado State's a team that should still be playing right now, and they're in the future going forward in the next couple of years. They're a team to watch out for. We're going to make a lot of money on them. That's a beautiful campus. They have more money up there than people realize, and they're a team that over the next couple of years we'll be able to take advantage of. FatJackSports.com. Go get signed up today and make some money betting on sports. The lowest rate of the entire year is available right now. Triple Crown races are coming up starting in May. We're going to have some golf stuff that's free. Baseball season is free when you sign up for football. Actually, when you sign up this weekend, you get baseball for free, whether you're on the weekly package, the monthly package, whatever.
Nice.
Through the NBA Finals, just to get people in the mood, get them in the groove. It's hard to explain to somebody the amount of money to make something when it's free. And so I like people, if you're a guy out there, I'll have this with basketball. A lot of guys will say, well, I don't bet on basketball. I'm a football guy. I don't bet on soccer. I'm a football guy. Who cares? Just place the bet and go play golf. Place the bet and go to the fair. I don't care.
Do anything other than watch the game.
Nobody's asking you to watch it. We're not forcing you to sit down on the TV and watch 2.5 hours on the pitch. Although I'm with you, Brand. I love that soccer starts on time. It's always going. If the game goes at noon, it's going to go at noon. So
yeah.
But yeah, these other sports and baseball can be thrown into that. People just like, I'm not into that. If you're not into it, just sign up for football. Place the baseball bets, and then see what happens. Just see what your balance does. Because what you're going to find is that most every week and most certainly every month between now and football season, your balance is going to rise versus going down. That's a good thing. And you don't have to pay attention to it at all. Only thing you have to do is place the bets. People say, I don't have enough time. How much time does it take to place a bet? I mean, if you live in a state that has it online,
right. If you're not having to travel across state lines to place wagers and you don't want to play baseball, I get it. But if you're like me and you live in a state where sports betting is legal, the moment that I see in the portal on fatjacksports.com that my picks are ready and I look and see I can have those baseball bets in 2 minutes.
And then go back to your life. And if you want to take a break, a lot of guys will say that too. Well, after I like to take a break. Take a break. Don't bet baseball. Don't bet it at all. But you'll have it for free, and you're still paying less than if you wait until August to sign up for football. There's so many reasons. Not to mention, you pay out the service fee. So important. If you don't want to pay it all at once, there's a ton of reasons to get signed up now versus waiting. Primarily, you're saving money and you're getting all this free stuff. So then when you are bored, you're doing nothing, and you want to play some bases, you're not paying for it. They're there. You're not guessing. They're there. So fatjacksports.com, sign up today.
Football season, Jack. What, $2,000 right now through the Super Bowl?
Yep.
In August, when we start back with the radio show and the podcast starts up again, that's going to be a lot more than $2,000 just for football.
It'll be $29.99 or whatever.
So, is it worth $1,000 to you to wait 4 months, 5 months to get that package?
And you can pay out the service fee over 6 months, so you don't have to pay it all at once. If you can't find a buddy, if you're one of those that doesn't have a friend or don't want to use a friend to split it, that's fine too. Just don't. But you can pay it out. Pay $400 now, pay it out monthly. Your package starts when you sign up, so you get all the stuff free going through the summer to allow you to build profit before we get to football. So I've set it up to where everybody will have the best opportunity to make money during the course of the year. All they have to do is make a good decision. So fatjacksports.com. All right, baseball season. Under with the White Sox. All right, there's your free winner number one. And I know it's 35 or 36. I'm aware of how low it is.
You're aware of how low it actually is.
And I don't care. We've made more money. Actually, 53.5. It's not 36. It's 53.5. They only won 41 games last year. The team's done absolutely nothing. Nobody goes to the games.
And everyone in that division's gotten better.
Exactly. It's 5 degrees in Chicago right now. It's going to be. And they're going to be playing in the cold. I just tell the White Sox under has been some of the easiest money. Oklahoma City Thunder over, other than this last year, their win total. And the White Sox under, I basically paid for a Tesla over the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's been easy money. And we're not going to ride. We jumped off the Oklahoma City over train. Really probably shouldn't have. Yeah, they're going to go over their win total, right? Oklahoma City?
Yep. Yep.
What was I doing there? We shouldn't have jumped off. It just got so high. I'm like, gosh, I got to win everything. Well,
It's hard. It's hard to, especially as they keep getting better. That number kept getting higher and higher. But yeah, they're a weapon right now, man.
yeah. And so should have bet that. We're not going to make the same mistake in baseball. So under the 53 and a half wins with the White Sox, that's your first free winner of the year in baseball. Go get that down right now. Don't bet a bunch, but just, and that way every time the White Sox lose, you'll be like, yeah, I knew that. I heard that back in March. So.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this season, here is our host, the number one handicapper in America, the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. Yeah, it's so funny, Brandon. I in the last 15 years, I don't know that I've ever said the number one handicapper in the country. And I definitely haven't done it in the last 5 years or 3 years or 2. That to me is just so stupid. I am going to make you more money than anybody else is in this business.
Sure.
I mean, and that's been that way for about 15 years at least. And if you go to fatjacksports.com, you see the results tab there. But every 20-something-year-old who's got a TikTok account and a phone has decided that they are now the number one handicapper in America, even though that they literally have been
The world, the galaxy.
have been doing this for 15 minutes. I mean, they haven't even gone through a full year yet. I mean, that's a lot of them. This is their first baseball season ever to bet on sports or to release games or whatever their model is. Yet they're pretty sure that because they're first, they just graduated from college, opened an account, had a good run during last year's football season, which, oh, by the way, was the most general public year in the last 30 years in football. It has just created this mushroom of people that are positive they're great betting on sports. What's been funny is to see when these guys actually have lost, when things have settled back down. They're like, oh my gosh, we had our first. They're trying to be honest. That's the whole thing. You got these kids trying to be. The problem with being honest about this, Brandon, is if you don't win, you have to be honest about being bad at it. So it's going to be interesting to see. I follow 5 or 6 of these dudes that I'm actually entertained by. I don't get their picks, but right now they're going into this similar to what I do in that they're being honest about what their results are. The problem is that, I mean, their results are not that good.
The results are not there, yeah.
And so they're having to figure out why and how to explain that. How do I explain that away? How does that? Well, the problem is that you're probably not that good at betting on sports. So that combination's tough, and frankly, only time is how you figure that out. I mean, proof is in the longevity of it. There's a ton of people in my life that I've seen that have come and gone as sports handicappers and sports bettors, and it's just it's okay. It doesn't make a bad person, but it's a little bit entertaining to see some of these 20-somethings that have. I'll let you know if there's a guy out there that ends up making some waves and is figured something out. I will let you know. But if you're going off last football season and you had a good year, above average year, you think you're now good at this. Yeah, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
We'll see you in September.
Yeah, I mean, because it was the most public year in the last 30. So if the casinos, the sports books lost money in the month of November, they lost money betting in the sports book, and they lost it in the NFL season. That's the first time that had happened in 10 years. So if you didn't win, if you won a bunch in November, that might be a symptom that you are more of a public player than you are. You don't know, look at things correctly if you're trying to make money over the long run, because it's that type of month, that type of season is not going to happen very often. Some of the guys that I follow, that I know, that I respect, that do very well at this, bet a ton of money on games. They had, and not saying they lost, but they had their worst year they've had in 20 years. So that made me feel better about things because
the
sports books are not going to line up and lose money doing this. That's not a thing. So they are going to keep figuring things out, making those lines tighter. And as they move their system, I move my system so that we're on the right side historically of most of these weeks and most of these months. So Fat Jack
Head of
Sports,
that curve, yeah.
yeah, you got to be ahead of the curve, and but it's been interesting to see. So I rarely say, if ever say, yeah, best, greatest number one handicapper in the world, even though I will make you more money than everybody else. Had an interesting thing on a flight. You want to get to that real quick?
Oh, yeah.
This was an all timer, man. It wasn't even me either, which was made it a little bit more funny. It was just in the spectator seat.
Just purely a witness to the insanity.
So I'm sitting across the aisle in the second row, coming out from Vegas. No, it's actually from Phoenix to LA to California, and the aisle, maybe it was Oklahoma to Phoenix. Anyway, the aisle had a guy that was like 450 pounds, and the window had his mother, who was about 450. The extensions did not get it done, or barely got it done. But they had gotten one by the goalie. Nobody had informed them at any point, you have to buy 2 seats. Somebody has to buy.
This was Southwest?
Southwest. Exactly.
Yeah, you got to get that companion pass or whatever. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
So it's a mom and a son, and they're both $4 at least, probably $4.50. I mean, they are in the middle. There is no middle seat. I mean, it literally like they had oozed in. Lady comes on the thing and says, totally full flight. Everybody take a seat. We have no extra seats, blah, 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 blah. So Karen and I are sitting there, and it's like watching the raffle, like, okay, here we go.
You're doing the math of watching who's coming down the aisle.
Who is going to be that late arrival, which is normally like Hovey. He likes to show up 3 minutes before they close the door, my buddy. And
that's on brand.
And
yeah.
I was pulling for him, that type of guy. So we're trying to figure out who's going to be last, because that last person is in for a long flight. Right. So everything, here they come. Door closed. There's still some people in the aisle. What walks back down the aisle is a mother with her 2-year-old, and they are last. And they have 2 seats, so they need somebody to switch.
Right.
So they're looking for 2 together, because they cannot, they can't.
They can't be separated. No.
It's like a 3-year-old. Anyway, you can't split up the 3-year-old from the kid. So now we've got that. It's like literally the trilogy of bad things happening on a flight. So you got 4. And by the way, the 2 heavy people, I heard the guy tell the flight attendant, he said, "Ma'am, I just need you to know that I get a little bit tense on these flights, and every once in a while I will scream really loudly when we take off. I hope that's not a problem." Literally said that to the flight attendant.
Oh gosh.
I maybe on the spectrum, maybe not. I'm not sure, but anyway, he was already preparing for a loud roller coaster ride of a takeoff. So it was already starting. So here comes this woman with her 3-year-old, and they don't have a seat. So now they're taking volunteers. I'm not moving. I was in the middle because Karen and I, we was full. I wanted to sit next to Karen. She wanted the window, so I'm in the middle. So I'm not moving into the middle between Mama June and baby Huey.
And Boombox over there.
Not doing it. So, but I'm curious who is. Well, sure enough, the guy in the front row, who's right in front of them, I'm not sure he knew exactly what volunteering meant, but he volunteers. He moves back in between the Thunderdome and lets the mom sit in the front row with her 3-year-old. They end up figuring it out. And this kid cried and screamed and kicked for 3 hours. It was literally line up all the things that drive you insane about a flight, and they all happened within 5 feet of me on this flight. And this kid, the entire flight, throwing himself on the floor, all that kind of stuff. I ended up buying the mom and the guy that wedged himself between 800 pounds of fury, got him 2 drinks apiece.
Sure.
Both of them just hammered drunk going to Phoenix, or as drunk as they could. Because I get those free drink coupons. I don't drink.
Right,
so I've got the free drinks. So I'm like, here, I got these. Mama, whatever you need.
Whatever you need, yeah.
Bar's open. I mean, let's go. So, but it was a crazy flight. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. NBA, Brandy, we're talking off the air. There's only 3 teams that are projected to win the NBA championship. Listen to this, Thunder fans. Only 3 teams that are projected to win the NBA championship that are under double digits, and 2 of those are in the Eastern Conference. It is Oklahoma City and everybody else in the West.
There's a large gap between Denver and Oklahoma City. Denver, by most sports books, is that 4th team, and you're looking anywhere at like 12-1 at best
What do you have, Denver? Where are you looking? DraftKings?
I've got on covers. They've got a bunch pulled up. Caesars has them at 12-1. FanDuel has them at 17-1.
That's what I was looking at. I was telling Mariah's brother who works for DraftKings, your numbers are crap.
Yeah, they're tight, man.
I said you guys need to work that out. I said FanDuel's killing you on that. Yeah, they got Denver at 17-1. Then the Lakers at 18-1 and 20-1 with Golden State. All would scare you if you just looked at the names on the front of the jerseys, as Oklahoma City would be playing deeper in the playoffs. But when you look at the lineups and the production this year, those are all huge underdogs to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, I mean, I don't want to get the parade ready just yet if you're an OKC fan, but this is the year. It's not a Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden. I mean, this is the year. This is the team.
This. I mean, even that year in 2012, I want to say the Thunder were probably the third or fourth choice in the West. This is by far the largest lead that they've ever had going into the playoffs, and it's looking like I'm going to have to come home for a game because that's going to be crazy.
You wonder if they would feel this pressure. They're such a young team.
They don't know.
I don't think they do either. I don't think they care. Now they will when they get in the finals of the the Western Conference.
Like the West, yeah. When they're playing the Lakers or they're playing Denver in a 7-game series, I think the enormity of that moment will unveil itself.
Yeah, it really will. But I will tell you, is ice cold as SGA's been. It's a team deal. They have a number of guys, and defensively, they turn you over with all sorts of different people. When SGA doesn't quite shoot it well, which is very rare, they have other ways to score. So this is a really, really tough team. Very interesting to see. We didn't really give the numbers. Oklahoma City plus 170, so less than 2-1 to win the NBA championship. Boston, second choice at plus 195, which is right at 2-1. Cleveland 5-1. Denver 17-1. This is to win the championship, not just the West. In the West, Boston minus 140. They're a prohibited favor over Cleveland now to win the West. In the East, Oklahoma City minus 140. So that's also interesting, Brandon. From an odds perspective, Oklahoma City, the exact same probability
to win the conference,
to win the West versus what Boston is to win the East. But when they match up against each other, Oklahoma City's a pretty significant favorite to take down the defending NBA champions. So, just nice fodder for before we even get into that time of year. Also had somebody say, Jack, what about MVP? And what does that look like? Because Jokic's been playing better. What happens if Oklahoma City loses some late? Right. SGA is winning the Western Conference MVP, and he's winning.
He's league MVP. Yeah, DraftKings has him at minus 900, whereas Jokic is plus 500.
Yeah, it's
that's a gap.
It's not even close. So SGA is going to be the MVP of the league, and then when you get in the playoffs, you can actually bet on him to win just the Western Conference Championship. Finals MVP, you can bet that right now. He's just a little worse than even money. So if you think they're going to get there and he's going to do anything, he's going to
be the guy.
Yeah, that might be the better spot to try to get an even money bet down, just win the Western Conference. Now, obviously, you got to have them get through the playoffs, but this is a team that looks like they're destined to at least play in the conference championship game. So
it's wild to think that if SGA does win the MVP, he'll be the third Thunder player since 2012 to win the MVP. That is, and they've got, I can't say they got nothing to show for it, but this is the first title chance they've had legit in 13 years.
I've said this before, but if they don't build the GM a statue at some point, they're missing an opportunity. Sam Presti, they don't build him a statue at some point, they are missing an opportunity, because that dude there is literally, he should write a book when he's done on how to build rosters and how to turn things over. People forget they have had it so good in Oklahoma City with all the challenges that come with being a mid-major market. So FatJackSports.com, get signed up. We're getting ready to get out of here, guys, for the spring. But as Brandon said, follow us on social media at FatJackSports, all the different social medias. There will be a lot of information going out there. We'll be sending a ton of stuff out, ton of games besides the major sports. We will be sending some golf out. Obviously, the Triple Crown stuff. Baseball season is here. You get that for free when you sign up for football. All that's free. And then everything else is going to make a lot of money over the spring and the summer. And if you miss out, all you're doing is going to pay more for the information you want football season if you wait till August. So go get signed up now. Pay out the service fee if you need to. Get all the plays. Get dialed in, and make money this year. Do something Pete Rose was not able to do, which is win money betting on baseball. I used to say if he couldn't win, nobody could win. I have been proven wrong by my baseball guys.
Yep.
Absolutely can. You just can't if you're managing the team, apparently. So I don't know how that works, but
that's where the line is.
That's where the line. You can't be a manager and figure out who's going to win. But by gosh, if you're a couple of guys that all they do all day long is figure out how to make money betting on baseball, you can, because I've seen it over the last decade or so. So, Brandon, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Boston Red Sox, World Series champions, 18-1. I'm in.
Perfect. Let's get it down. You'll definitely have a ticket to hedge later on.
Yep.
All you can just get a decent run out of it.
Decent number, yeah.
Talk to you soon. For Brandon and the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports